sticking with the New Year's, let's talk about New Year's resolutions. Have you ever thought about how empathy actually plays a big role in that?
This is really interesting. Chris and I have been reading this book all morning long, it seems like. We've just been picking through the pages. So one author and activist is showing us how using empathy can help you keep up with your resolutions. Rob Volpe is joining us via Zoom today. Hey, Rob, how are you?
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me on, you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for sending us these books. We seriously have been picking through the pages. This is so interesting. But our first question to you is this. How are people doing with their New Year's resolutions in your eyes?
Yeah, I got so fascinated with this last month. There was an article in Oprah Daily by Dr. Julia DeGangi. She's a neuropsychiatrist. And she had found in some studies that like 80% of us will give up on our New Year's resolutions by the end of this month. So in the next couple days. And I started digging into it, and I found that another study showed that by the end of the year, only 9% of people are going to have made it through in keeping their resolutions. And that really got me thinking about the role that empathy plays in this, and what are some tips that people can use to maybe hold on to and keep going on those resolutions.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So what is your first tip to try to keep resolutions?
Yeah.
So the first thing is to really reframe how you think about resolutions. When you think about the word resolution, it's very fixed, it's firm, it's stone, it's like maroon bells just standing there, and it's never going to move. And that doesn't give you the flexibility if you've got something coming up in your life that you weren't anticipating. You know, life is constantly throwing things in front of us. So instead, you want to think about it as intentions. And intentions are much more based around wishes and desires and ambitions. And those words alone have more fluidity to them. They're kind of like water. And then when you think about water versus stone and the things that water is able to do, it's able to move and adapt with everything. It carves canyons as one example. So I've switched to thinking about it as intentions, and that's made it a lot easier for me. For example, had I set a resolution that I was going to write that book in a year, I would have been really disappointed because a lot of life got in the way, and it took me 6 years. But I ended up with a best-selling, award-winning book in the end.
I mean, that's pretty cool. And in your bio, it says that you're an astute observer of life, and that is totally reflected just in our conversation here. So you said that switch resolutions to intentions. Do you have another tip for people?
Yes, absolutely. And Dr. DeGangi got into this where she talked about being more self-aware. So when you think about making, whether you call it a resolution or an intention, you're actually trying to change a behavior in order to do something different, which is typically stated in the outcome or that resolution. So be aware of the behavior and what's causing or getting in your way, the behavior that you need to change. And that's actually where self-empathy, so understanding yourself, starts to come in, because you want to take a look at, well, gee, what's going on with that behavior? Why am I holding on to it? Where does it come from? What's the need that it's satisfying? Is this new behavior that I'm trying to change going to make that work? So self-empathy is definitely the way to do that.
Okay.
So, you know, you gave an example in your book, Rob, of politics, a little bit of politics. How do you have empathy with differing political opinions?
Yeah, so it especially in today's age, it feels so difficult, frustrating, challenging. Pick the topic, and it feels like we're constantly fighting each other. And what my book outlines is the 5 steps to empathy. So myself and my colleagues at my research firm, Ignite 360, we got curious about what gets in people's way and how to overcome it, and identified these 5 steps. So the first one is dismantle your judgment. Biggest, hardest thing, gets in everybody's way. The second one is to ask good questions. Make sure you're asking open questions, not things that are going to try to confirm your point of view. And then actively listen. You guys are listening to the things that I'm saying. You're present, you're paying attention, you're asking follow-up questions. That's the type of thing you want to do. If you were staring into your cell phones and checking your Instagram, that's not allowing you to be present in here. Next is integrate into understanding. And that is about making room in your head that there are other points of views, ways of doing things, and being okay with that, being curious. And then finally use solution imagination. And that's that moment where you're taking all these things that you're hearing, you're starting to go, oh, okay. And you're turning it around and starting to use it to ask the next question or get towards whatever the positive outcome is that you're looking for.
Rob, it's been such a pleasure
Yeah.
to have you on. Your New Year's resolution, everybody, should be to read this book. How about that? Rob, come back in our studio anytime, my friend. That was awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'd love to.
All right, we'll be back.